Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the beautiful live stream on the 20th of October. We're past the halfway mark of October. That means we're also inching closer on Halloween, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But the main focus today is going to be on Orthen, a little bit of Let's Play, a little bit of Q&A, and also a little bit of just showcasing archaeology. I know that initially we did promise a art and audio showcase, but we have moved that to next week and moved the Let's Play / Q&A a bit closer. So we are here today to answer all your archaeology questions. And I'm joined by Mod Spear, as always, our beautiful video production team. Say hi.
Yeah, none of you saw enough of me last week.
No, exactly. We wanted a bit more of that. You did a great job killing that boss. I know that was your highlight. So yeah, we've got you back, and we've got Mod Rowley back. Say hi too.
Hello.
You're the familiar face of archaeology. You're like the image of archaeology, or the expert of archaeology, I would say.
One of, certainly not.
One of. Does it for me. Before we jump into game,
him a fossil.
No. I wouldn't dare to.
Don't worry.
Before we jump into game, quick introduction bit. So currently we've got the Twitch gaming offer on, which will give you a nice currency pack and 2 Umbral chests. The currency pack consists of 35 treasure hunter keys and 200 rune coins. So if you've not grabbed that yourself, make sure you do. It's a nice little bonus. Orphan launched last Monday. I hope you all know by now and are actively playing it. It's pretty cool. And then last but not least, last Thursday, or last Wednesday, we launched Steam. Very excited, very cool. We're also broadcasting to Steam, so everyone watching on Steam, good to see you there as well. And we're going to have a lot of fun. And make sure that you have a great time playing on Steam or the NXT client or mobile, whatever you do. We're truly becoming a multi-streaming game. Oh. Right. Panic.
Oh,
we're back. We had a little bit of a hiccup.
Oh, you're good.
I'm good. Glad I am. Alright, before it gets worse, let's just jump into game. We've got something nice to look at, and then I think Mod Riley quickly wanted to address and talk about all the hotfixes and feedback that we've already actioned and are planning to action as part of Orthen.
Indeed, yeah. I think we'll start with the hotfixes. So these are things that should already be fixed in game, and probably the largest of these is the Moksha device. It was getting in people's way a little bit, which was not intended, so that should be fixed now, so you can more easily excavate there. Second biggest one, probably that there was a slight issue with people logging into the new sites while the event was already running, the Osseous event. That's been handled now, so you don't need to leave and come back in to trigger it. Login should just work fine. Third one, Spirit Attraction Potion. We added Manifested Knowledge and Divine Carpet Dust to those. Those were originally intended, but got overlooked, unfortunately. Plus, also, there was an early issue with Big Game Hunter Spears and Tears of Guthix, both of which I believe have now been hotfixed as well.
Cool. Do you want to talk a bit about the feedback that we plan to address or resolve ASAP as well?
Yeah, well, I think we may have wider feedback that we're still kind of discussing, but these are things we've already decided and implemented. So they are currently sitting with QA. Fingers crossed they'll be able to be included in the next update, but that part remains to be seen. But kind of these ones are definites to come soon, if not next week. And those are, so we added a third recipe for holy aggro overloads. So you'll be able to make those with holy overloads and aggression potions. The Anachronia resource crates and the previously existent compacted resources, we're making all of those bankable. A really minor one, the dragonkin artifacts, now listed in Makex in the level order, not alphabetical. Sorry, I say now, but will be soon. And we added a So there was supposed to be a little bit of a hint on Sharagan's dialogue on rewards as to how to get one of the relics. So we've added in that now. So players have worked it out, but it's a little bit more helpful if we give a hint. There's a bunch of typos. I said a bunch. It's like 3. There are probably more though, so do keep sending them in because want to get those right too. And,
we like to fix typos in our game.
Yeah, definitely. Is that a throwback to my days as an editor? It irks me whenever they make it live. And for some of our players, there's some crash issues with Orthen Digsite. We've kind of identified that problem now, and that should be that's probably not likely for the next update. I'm not entirely sure because that's a bit out of my hands personally, but it is something we're aware of, and we know kind of what the cause is, so we should be able to address that one fairly soon.
Yes.
That's fair to say. I think maybe you know a little bit about this too, Rookie.
So there was something with some of the textures on the items in the new Digsites. Of course, they look very fancy, and I think some of them were slightly too big or something funky with them, and that could potentially make your client crash. It mainly was the case on Intel laptops or Intel devices, something like that. But we figured it out, and we're just going to try and address it as soon as we can, really.
Yeah, but all in all, Orthen, from our perspective, a very smooth launch. People are digging away, really enjoying it. There's a lot of love for the art and the audio, which is well deserved, so please keep that up. Our artists and audio team deserve to hear that. Because, as a team, we were really chuffed for this. I mean, it's perfect timing that Spears where he is now. The music on too. Good stuff.
I can also just tell by your voice that you're still very excited and happy with how the launch went, Riley, which then in turn also makes me quite happy. Thank you for these amazing scenery shots as well, Modspear.
In here it's literally a pleasure.
Just checking, are you using an Xbox controller right now or just a keyboard? There we go. You plugged it in.
No one's that good with a keyboard and a trackpad.
Well,
that's why I wanted to ask you.
I'm super. Sorry, just to kind of pick up on something you just said, Berkey, is I'm really proud of the team. We've managed to pull together. This whole working from home thing has been a struggle. We're finding our footing again. We're collaborating again. It's going well.
You didn't see that.
You can kind of see that now.
It's a
bit more substantial.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is one of the... I mean, for archaeology, we already did a lot of work, obviously from home. But I think with Orthen, it's probably one of the bigger releases we've had that's been completely, 100% from home. And I think, like you said, it's been a very good launch. I think everyone is very pleased with it. Players are enjoying it. Not that many bugs and things, and we've been on them as well. So that's really good. Really happy with that as well. So what we're going to do now is, Modspear has kind of already started. He started excavating. I wrote down in the script that we would start at the base camp, but we'll make it work like this. Modspear, you be a little bit of a rebel.
Well, I was trying to show things while you guys were talking. I didn't really have much else to do, so... Yeah, exactly. But we are on nearly 91%, I reckon, with the Rex reconstruction, so I think we're going to get the Raw off shortly, and then I think we should go back and have a look at him when he's full scale.
When he's a big boy. Complete big boy.
Yeah, he's a big boy. Size of this lad.
Sounds like a plan. For those wondering, we are actually on World 25, top of my head.
Yep.
Comments to kill alongside us. If you've got questions, I know some of you have already been putting quite a few in chat. I was not paying a lot of attention to myself at that time because I was still doing all the introduction chat and reading something else. I'm going to pay a bit more attention to the chat now as well, pick up the questions from there, and then I will be firing them straight over to Mod Rowley in the hopes that he will be able to provide an answer as one of the expert archaeology developers we've got. And in the meantime, we'll have Modspear doing some nice let's playing, and we'll also explain on the side all the intricacies and things from archaeology that we're doing. That's the plan.
Yep. Well, while we're waiting on some questions, though, do we want to like have a general chat about archaeology? Kind of give a bit of a primer for some of our new players from Steam. That's something worthwhile.
Sounds good. Go for it.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, this has been a labour of love. This is archaeology, our newest skill. So, sorry to all of the people watching who are familiar with all of this. We just want to be a bit more welcoming, I think, to our new Steam community. So, and let's get them all into archaeology as well, because we released this back in March. Only 6 months been in the game, so it's a good example of some of our newer content, and it's proven to be pretty popular. I almost swore, so pretty popular is probably an understatement. Sorry, it's been very popular. It's hard to well, all right. It's hard to know where to start with.
I can start firing questions at you. I've got quite a few already.
Also, lore and stories skill. That's it. It's the whole
so big. Yeah, there's so much to it. It's a little bit of everything. It's a great place to start if you're new to RuneScape as well, because it just highlights so much about the game's history and lore and characters, and has these wonderful new environments. So it's got a little bit for everyone, and the reward space is really good too. So it can be useful for even new starters.
Yeah. One of the things that I see quite a few in the questions being asked is about the potion recipes. Players are quite curious towards the drop rates, and quite a few of them are actually asking about if we could buff the drop rates of those. What's your thought on those, Riley?
No. We're not going to change the drop rates. They are absolutely what they are for a reason. The kind of solution we have in mind here is that the recipes themselves are tradable. So if you want them quick, you can buy them. And this then gives long-term value to Orthen for people that are spending more time there and getting these things themselves. So, I mean, it kind of ties back to one of the core pillars of archaeology, which was to make it a skill, a non-combat skill for players to earn a bit of coin. Like, it's still a really good moneymaker, even, like, obviously the gold rush at the beginning has kind of died down a lot now, but there's still plenty of money to be made, and this is another example of how we're doing that.
Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, I think it makes sense, and I think like it's also like part of like a new release like Archaeology. It takes some time for these recipes to enter the game as well, right? The first time people will be getting the recipe, they will probably keep it themselves, and then the second one they will of course sell on the GE. So like I think it takes a bit of time to stabilize and get to the spot where it needs to be, and ultimately if we in a long time still think that it's a bit scarce or whatever, then we can always still look at the balancing of it again, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, a no is, I think, never ever just a point blank no, right? There's always new information that can change that answer, new thinking. But I mean, we did just release yesterday afternoon, so or maybe in the morning even. It was lunchtime, wasn't it? So yeah, just over 24 hours. We're still going to wait and see how quickly these come into the game.
Another question I had, and then we'll kind of, I think we'll talk a bit about how excavating works and what the time sprites do and everything else as well, is could the journal or the page RNG for the mysteries, the pages that you get from excavation spot, can the RNG be improved for that, or how does that work? I'm kind of going to ask, because I think we're quite happy with how they are, but can you explain a little bit of how it works to get journal pages from excavation spots?
Yeah, so pretty much every excavation spot within an area will give you, I say pretty much, it is actually everyone in a given discrete area gives you all of the pages from that area. The actual random chance is based on the level of the excavation spot, and the new ones for Orthen are in line with that kind of curve from the original launch. So we're happy initially with where they are. That doesn't mean we won't add future mitigation potentially. I think the best ideas I've seen are for the Lawhound to have some effect on these. It seems like a good thing for it. It's something I think would add to our feedback. But again, it's only been out for 6 months as a whole, the skills, so I don't think there's an immediate rush to do that. It's maybe one I'll try and cram in before the end of the year, but we'll see how my time gets eaten away by everything else. But yeah, it's just every time you get a success. So it's hard to say. So every time you get a success, you get a roll on the table. Yeah. So.
Yeah, like we are aware that it is something that some of the players want.
Of course,
so I think that's the main one. I mean, you were talking about a success now. So could you kind of explain when you get a success and how the excavation as a whole works? Because I think for a new player, there are quite a few small tips and tricks that you could do to actually make your archaeology more efficient, right?
Oh yeah, plenty. I mean, you can see all the people here, all the players excavating away. So for the newer players, yeah, so you come up to these spots all across our dig sites. They start off in a covered state, and so you think your matter can clear that state away first, and then you'll see kind of what's buried in each of the spots. And then you just start excavating away with your matter. Every so often you get XP drops. The kind of XP rates you get from excavation are relatively low because the bulk of the experience from the skill comes from the later restoration part. But in terms of success and failure, it's a weird behind the scenes terminology. I didn't really mean to put that out there too much, but usually you'll get something for every time you get an XP drop. And generally, when it's a failure, the only thing you get is soil from that spot. But when it's a success, that's when we would give you a material, or we'd roll on our random chance table where it might be a lore page, it could be a Tetra Compass piece, it could be one of the XP tomes, it could be site-specific things like the Incando pieces or Ocean Fragment pieces from here. And then you see above your head there, so in the middle of the screen, there's that little progress bar. So each time you make a successful action, you'll make some progress to fill up this bar, and when it fills up, you'll get one of that spot's damaged artifacts. So that's the kind of nuts and bolts of it, yeah.
Yes, and I mean, there are two things that are currently active on the buff bar. So first of all, the dino has roared, so we'll take a look at that in a second. And next to that, we have another buff, which is the sprite focus. Could you briefly explain what that is and how to keep it as well, more broadly?
Yep. So for every excavation spot, there's usually at least 3 copies of it in a close by area. And this time sprite is the little blue ball that's dancing there. You just saw it move. So it flew from one spot to the next. And if you follow where it goes, then every time you do an excavation action at that spot, your just saw a loghound there, I think. Your buff percentage increases, and at various percentage thresholds, it has different effects. So I think it's a 40% that if you roll over the buff icon, it tells you this, but I think at 40% you get a slight increase to your excavation experience, and 100% you get kind of a little bit of a boost, a bump to your discovery bar progress at that point. And there's other buff effects you probably just saw there. I can't remember them off the top of my head. We're talking, I've slept since then. This is months ago, but I can't remember.
Yes. Thank you for explaining that as well. So I would suggest we keep digging a little bit here till we've got the first again artifact and we complete that. There was another question in relation to the potion recipes that I'll quickly ask you as well here then more broadly. Are the potion recipes specific to certain spots, or can all of them come from any spot on Anachronia?
Right, yeah. So there are 5 recipes and 10 spots. Each of the recipes can be found on 2 spots, specifically. Only on those 2 spots. I don't think I have them. I can only remember one off the top of my head, which is the archaeology potion recipes come from the Dinosaur remains where you're excavating now, and I believe the reliquary just up the stairs. As to where the rest of them come from, I don't remember the specifics. We could probably find a place to share that information sometime.
I think the players will probably be able to figure that out themselves before we have actually found that information in the code. And I would actually not be surprised if it's already up on the wiki, because they do some fabulous work.
I mean, it kind of ties back to another core element. Oh, this is that. Oh, okay.
It's already on the wiki. I'm hearing right now.
Okay, we've got visitors from Zanik and Terrapath. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it's kind of a bit of a callback to one of the other core pillars of archaeology, discovery. So, like, just putting all of this content out and letting players figure some stuff out for themselves rather than kind of detailing every single aspect of it from the outset. So we wanted to try and recapture a little bit of that and give people time to figure it out.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Oh, it's so close, or I can't see it clearly. I think we can do one more. Oh, there we go. We've got an artifact. Shall we move over quickly and have a look at the amazing raw, or the amazing dinosaur that just did a raw?
Raurasaurus, is that what you're going to go for?
Raurasaurus. I mean, I like that as a name, actually.
Not awful. Why did that not teleport? Go there.
That sometimes happens. In the meantime, there was a funky question from chat. Is that when will you guys work with Nintendo to put RuneScape or like the Wise Old Man in something like Smash? Because they recently did that with Steve from Minecraft, of course.
That would be quality.
I've got sign-off to confirm that currently there are no talks to do such a thing with Nintendo. But if Nintendo would like to, they can definitely send us an email and reach out to us. I think it would be pretty cool.
I mean, as a professional Steve, I think it should end exactly where it is. Like, this last character is perfect. I mean, you can't beat that. So we're good now.
Look at that. That is a beautiful bony boy doing an amazing roar. Can you zoom out a bit for scale, just for scale in the base camp?
Yeah, I'll come down to this chap.
Oh, look at that. So yeah, once this buff is active, you have a 25% increase? Or is it 20, not Rowley?
25 to experience everything.
25
in
to
Anachronia.
experience. And your drops, so higher chance to get drops for direct activities you do at Anachronia, which also brings me to the quick question, because someone asked that as well. Does the roar also increase the agility cause totem piece drops?
I believe it affects totem piece drops and the rare resources that you need for tier 3 Anachronia buildings. I'm pretty sure. Mod Orion is the one who has all this detail in his head, so if I'm wrong, he can come and tell me at some point. We can get that information out there.
Cool. Thank you for that. I'm just checking. Modsphere is Steam is still up and running.
Yeah,
just pinging you that quick message.
On yours?
I think so. I think it is actually. Just letting you know that. There we go. We'll look at the dinosaur, and I'll ask you another question.
There we go.
Mother Riley. We answered that one. So, are you able to reiterate what we just said about the tiers of Guffix and that is currently bugged?
Are they currently bugged?
Well, the tiers of Guffix is still broken for some of the players, or it was earlier today, that it was not giving the XP ball, and the ball stays in your hand after you leave the cave.
Yeah, it's not something I can give specifics on. That's been handled by someone else. It's in hand. If there's still an issue that people are having, then I'm sure there is somebody who is feverishly working away on fixing that.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't have any more to say. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, I've seen the message on there as well, and I know it's something we are looking at, or it has been fixed by now. I don't have the exact final status, but it is something we are actively looking at, or have already actively looked at. To answer that question, we've had a good look at the boy. Could we pay a quick visit to the base camp, the archaeology campus, I should say.
Yeah.
Right back. Yeah.
We call it the archaeology campus, don't we, Mother Riley?
Do you mean the guild rather than Anachronia?
The archaeology guild. Apologies. Yes,
campus,
I don't know why I was thinking of
sorry.
campus. That's all right. So we can just quickly talk over all these things there as well. Talk about other few quick tips for the more so new players on Steam that are watching, as well as the new players that might be watching on Twitch right now. Because there've been quite a few new players joining the world of Gillenor since we've been launching on Steam, which is really exciting.
Yeah. The pro strats for the stream is definitely watch on Twitch, because you can link your RuneScape account and get some nice bonus drops. And also, it just seems a bit more stable.
Yes.
There we go. I was literally watching Steam buffer again, then it fixed itself.
There you go. Would you like to explain what you're doing in this room, Motspear?
I will do in about, I think, 3 minutes or so. My research ends. Give me 1 second, so I can just cover that up.
There you go.
We could
look at Fluffy Cat.
We could save your research. We could probably fill in 3 minutes and get people started.
It's available now.
Look at that. This is proper planning. Motspear was like, I need to make sure I've got some good research on the go when I'm on the live stream later today.
Conveniently remember this exactly 4 hours ago.
You have to make up for not using your auto screener one way. So this is the way to do that. So yeah, tell us would you like to explain what research is, Motspear, or would you prefer Mod Riley to do that?
I'm happy to take a punt at it. So, over the course of archaeology, as you progress through the ranks and become a professor and associate of the guild, you slowly but surely get your own underlings, and you can start sending them out to do things for you. It's basically the way this goes. So there's 2 times. There's special research, which plays into the story, reveals information about the dig sites you're in. Some of them, I think, are required for the mysteries you'll be solving throughout archaeology. And then there's general research, which is, you, go here, find me things that I can use. So you send out your team to the different dig sites and they'll collect artifacts and resources for you, which is what I've done with these guys. I sent them out, I think, for 4 hours to Orthen to go and dig up some bits for me. And, ooh, wrong button, they are brought back.
You have to look at the report first.
Yep, no, there we go. Oh, 80 felt. I'll take that, that's nice.
That's a good
3
chunk.
compass roses though, slackers. Right.
Yeah, so they will get you various materials as well, for which you can then use to complete your artifacts, of course. Or restore your artifacts, I should say.
Yep, and then let's send them straight back there for 24 hours.
24 hours. Nice.
You go on with you.
And
yeah, as you
doesn't
rank
matter.
up, you get better followers as well that have slightly different attributes and are slightly more efficient.
I'm also going to ask if you can confirm this is the case more rarely, but regardless of whether you send them 3 times on 8 hours in 24 hours or 1 time for 24 hours, they will give you the same benefit and XP. Is that correct, Mod Riley?
There was a lot of discussion, I think, among players about how true that statement is based on how you use it. There's some real fine detail in there, but in terms of 8 hours versus 24, then the rewards are exactly 3 times, right? So it doesn't. You're not punished for sending them out for a specific amount of time. So the entire ethos behind research was that whatever time you have available, you can send out some research in it, and you won't feel shortchanged. And now with Orthen, there's actually benefit for longer research. If people aren't familiar with the Mr. Mordo's, when you unlock, so we've got a concept. When you've done everything on a particular dig site, you get the dig site manager, one of our personalities from the game, unlocked as a consultant for your research team. and they all have special abilities. Mr. Mordeaux's ability gives you a chance of getting a Tetra Compass piece along with your other stuff. And the chance is based on the length. It's out of 24, so if you send it for 24 hours, you're guaranteed a Tetra Compass piece. And then obviously the 1 in 12 chance if it's only an hour. So, you know, maybe you want to send longer stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to go and level up and get Mr. Mordeaux then. I like that.
Yeah.
While you're over there, Spear, would you mind just pointing out the tutorial flower that you're right near it?
Of course,
and,
yeah.
You beat me to it, Mulroney.
No, I had thought of this, but yeah, here we go. This is Drew, isn't it? Who's where you start learning?
Yeah. You also
just to give new players a map reference as well. We are just to the east of Arrock.
Yes,
north of
it's
in the desert area.
worth adding to that as well. So if you want to start archaeology, and you've already got a couple of your lodestones unlocked, the quickest way, if you've not got the archaeology journal yet, is to teleport to the Varrock lodestone and then just don't enter Varrock, but just go
run east.
Run east,
and you'll literally run into the back of the guild building. Exactly.
And then you walk to where the marker says you are here, and you can start archaeology. You'll get taught all the basics of archaeology. It's a great tutorial, actually. I quite like it. And then you can get going.
If I recall correctly, within this area.
Sorry, you go, Mulroney.
Yeah, sorry. If I recall correctly, as soon as you enter this kind of campus area, you'll start to get hint trails. So you get pointed to the start of the tutorial here, and then the tutorial itself is pretty quick. It's like 5 minutes. Explains all of these basics we're covering, including this screening station here, and restoration, which we'll probably look at in a minute. And gets you your first 5 levels and sets you up on your first dig site.
Can I now also point out a little bit of an Easter egg? Multiplayer, would you be able to hover over the name of the tutorial NPC and the other NPCs near it in a second?
No.
Because there you go. We've got Drew. Who else do we have? We've got Helen, and I think near the monolith. We've got Easty. Those are three people behind the scenes as well that have been doing quite a bit of work on archaeology as well, and keeping the game floating for a while. So that's just a little bit of a nice insider note as well. And it's also, you've got Drew where you start the tutorial, and then I think you can go to Helen to read up or redo parts of the tutorial or read up on that. Is that correct, Mulroney?
So we put Drew as the kind of point of contact. Well, actually, he's not. He's the post-tutorial tutorial recap, basically. So he'll remind you of all the basics. We actually have a separate NPC who runs you through the tutorial called Acting Guildmaster Renegade. Yeah,
that's
correct. Name for a second. Helen's role is she discusses soils and screening, and Easty is your relic master. He kind of teaches you and holds on to all of the relics that you've acquired. He teaches you how to use them on stuff like that.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just seeing a Dutch question, and because I'm Dutch myself, I'm obliged to ask that one quickly as well, Riley. When we decided to call Reiniger, or Reiniger, if I go for a more English pronunciation, were we aware that it meant cleaner or cleaning in Dutch?
I mean, yes, we were aware of that because we do our research and make sure there's no swear words and stuff like that, or intentionally pick words that are swear words in different languages. It's actually a reference to someone in particular. It's not. It's hard. I don't know. I don't really want to give any spoilers, but there is somewhat of a core mystery behind archaeology as a skill, and she does play a certain role in that. and her name kind of references back to that a little bit.
Good luck, players, figuring it out. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, it's a really subtle reference. It doesn't really connect to the narrative in the game itself. It's a really tangential thing, but it was a cool name, and it made sense with what goes in my head. So, yeah, people name things for some reason. I don't know why.
Just quickly, I've noticed a lot of people in chat are annoyed that you're kind of facing out of the screen and not facing into it. They've asked if I can flip you, so I'm just gonna. There you go. That solves the problem, right?
Yeah, it's because I've extended onto my TV, so I'm watching the stream over there. I work on my PC here, so sorry about
that. Yeah, that's alright. Give me 1 second. I can actually mirror you in here somewhere. I've just got to find the right button.
We're going to flip you around already. We're going to make it work.
There we go.
Okay.
There you go.
You can keep looking off to the side now.
I'll reward your efforts by not.
You're now looking at Modspear playing the game again.
No one's tuning into the game. Fine.
I mean, I'm noticing we're already 36 minutes in. I've still got quite a few questions as well. But I also would like to quickly explain restoration. So I think we want to pick up the pace a bit.
Yeah.
If that's okay, because we've also got some Halloween to talk about, and I know quite a few players are excited about that as well. Would you like to explain restoration more, Rowley?
Sure. Well, now we've introduced where the tutorial is, you can just go there and find out all the kind of details yourself. So we can quickly say that restoration is the other half of training archaeology. There are more than two halves, weirdly, so don't get too hung up on that. We throw a lot at this skill, basically. But restoration is the bulk of XP. You take your damaged artifacts that you've discovered. If you inspect them, it will tell you all of the materials you will need to restore these items back to their former glory. And you go to one of these archaeologist workbench. There's one here at the guild. There is one at each of the Digsite's base camp. And yeah, go for it. And sometimes they need some non-archaeology items from elsewhere in the game, but nothing too difficult to get hold of. You get a big chunk of XP, and you get a nice restored artifact for it, which has plenty of uses.
Yes. This is where the main bulk of your XP comes from, right? So you kind of want to complete as many as possible of them, and you might actually want to go to like a material cache, which are also scattered all around the world, to find the right materials so you can actually complete your artifacts.
Yeah, those being just excavations where you can get materials only, no artifacts. So material caches, get your materials. And Spear just showed there briefly, looking on inspect, and if you spin the camera around to Volusia, the notice board, so one of the primary things you can do with your restored artifacts is to hand them into one of these collectors, which is how you get some of the rewards from the skill, some of the relics, and the primary source of what we call chronotes, which are a currency that you use in the skill to unlock various boosts and buffs. And we're going to have a look at the shop quickly,
Yeah, might as well over here. No, wrong one. It's him.
There you go. Yes.
So
these are all your qualifications.
Yeah, so as you level up, you'll be able to gain various qualifications, and they'll unlock access to the new items in the shop, as well as some other things. You start off as a lowly intern, make your way up.
Yep.
By the auto screen is what they're telling you.
As someone who doesn't have the auto screen. Yeah. In my defence, when I was leveling archaeology, I actually didn't have invention when archaeology came out. I've gotten that from 0 to 99 pretty much since.
I'm just hearing excuses here. Just saying.
Yeah. I just don't need it, mate. It's unnecessary.
I mean, you just say you can buy it right now.
No, I'm not. Hey, all of you. It cost me 50,000 chronotes, you sods.
I'm just putting a bit of pressure on there. There you go. Chat can be happy now.
Damn spear pressure.
Also, a quick tip for the new players, because I I may or may not have made this mistake myself. On the other side of the shop, you have a shop for pickaxes or mattocks. Try and use the best mattock available to you. So you can buy the first couple in the shop, and then you will have to smith them yourself. But it helps you a lot to get the right mattock, because that means you will get your artifacts quicker, basically, which is quite nice. I think we've kind of covered all the things about how to archaeology almost. Well, we're
definitely
here.
An interesting bug someone is showing off. Thank you for that. I've seen. Just submit that as a ticket.
Yes. You can submit bugs in game. That's the best way. So we get a log of them and we can resolve those. A quick question for you that I picked up from chat earlier as well, Malt Rowley. The embargo has now lifted, so that means that you can also use double XP and XP lamps on archaeology. Are there plans to introduce Archaeology Urns?
None in the works. I mean, it seems like an obvious addition at some point, but we haven't got any update that's got them attached to that I know of. I could be wrong about that.
I feel like we dig up enough pottery in archaeology.
I think for other skills, we've sometimes done it like a year after release. It kind of varies, and we kind of want to wait a little bit longer with that.
I mean, the embargo is already having a significant impact, right? We don't have to do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to save some things for future.
I had another question from chat, which was the question, no auto sifter, what is this? I'm glad that is now resolved, Spear.
We can't make one still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll get around to it.
A question from, I did not write down a name. Will the new skilling Offhands be augmentable in the future? Early.
It's one of those. I'm trying to think of the non. Oh, we don't have an answer for that answer. I think it's probably inevitable. Like, it's the obvious thing to do with them, but we wanted to determine first. We wanted to get the core of them right first. So we want to make sure that players want them as they are first, as their core, as the base, and then we can expand on that. But then the question is, we can expand in one of two ways. We could make these two augmentable first, or we could make them for more skills first. Like, it's something we want to put in front of players and get their opinions and feedback on first, so we can make sure that we do these right. They're going to have significant impact on the game. So, yeah, take it baby steps.
It's like you said, skilling offenses are a completely new concept, kind of. We wanted to see how they work, how players use them, how they kind of affect the game, and then we can always let them be augmentable in the future. So it's just kind of, we're taking it slow, and we see where they get with them, and we'll get from there. This is a very frequently answered question. We've also answered the question quite a few times already. Will there be an artifact storage box? And there are currently no plans for this, are there, Mulderowdy?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Cool. You did address this at the beginning of the live stream, but I'm going to ask if you could quickly reiterate that bit as well. Will we be adding a third recipe for the Aggro overload recipe? Because we missed one out initially.
Yeah, the Holy Overloads plus Aggression Pots recipe is with QA at the moment. Fingers crossed it'll be with the next update, but yeah, can't guarantee that. Probably will be though.
Yes. Are there plans to add more achievements outside the main story of archaeology as part of kind of the archaeology skill?
Specifically for Orthen, or just generally speaking?
I think for archaeology in general more. So will we be thinking of adding some more achievements to archaeology as a whole?
It's a nice camera work. Sorry, I just had to acknowledge that.
That was very cool,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's inevitable, right? We add a lot of achievements over time. I don't think there's anything planned in the immediate future, but Like, it's going to happen.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Okay. Another one about the skinning offhands that I just noticed. This was asked before. We did not have the answer. We have the answer on that question now. Whether we could use Bladed Dive if you would be using a skinning offhand. The answer turned out to be a no. Are there plans to potentially change that modularity?
Well, this is one of the points, like the points of feedback, right? So this is the sort of core of the thing we want to get right. So we're currently in that stage where we're compiling feedback. Not many people have made them yet. Like I say, we just released them yesterday, so we're going to give it a little bit of time, and then we're going to pour over the feedback and then see where we're going to take this. So,
Cool.
like augmentation, I think that's one of the would be silly not to, but I don't know the full ins and outs, so I couldn't say either way to be sure yet.
All right. I'll just answer this one.
Wings is transparent. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's quite nice. You can also fly through everything. Question from MyBless. Are there plans to add a Digsite to the wilderness? No, there are no plans to add a Digsite to the wilderness. We don't want people to get murdered while excavating. That would be a bit crude, or on their way towards it. Another one which I find quite interesting. You never say never, but I would say highly unlikely.
It does seem unlikely.
There was a question as well, which are there plans to make the archaeology skinning outfit available through stream rewards? We've received this feedback. This is something we can probably add to the LootScape once we update it, but that process of updating it takes quite a while, so we'll have to see.
I mean, the elite outfit is the reward from the shop. I don't think we want to mess with that particular economy. If there's anything else you could do indirectly, potentially, that's not something I'd have.
Well, that's actually a fair answer. There's an even better answer. I wasn't thinking of that. Cool. Does the volcanic ash work for the screening yak track tasks? I only imagine that being the case, right, Crowley?
I don't want to say 100%. I know we added the new excavations and restorations, so if we missed it, would have been remiss. But hey, that does sometimes happen. I'm pretty sure it was added though. Like, I don't think there's anything special that needs doing to make it work for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure a player will put in chat like in a minute or two if it doesn't work. So.
Yes. All right. I think we've kind of I picked up the questions that I saw quickly. If there is a question, please put it in chat now. We'll answer a few, and then we're gonna move on to Halloween, and I think we're gonna say goodbye to O'Reilly. And we'll get a quick feature from the one and only Model Spawn as well to talk a little bit about the Halloween together with Spirit and me. There we go.
I'd say
and
if
the
you
chat is instantly flooded with questions again.
I'd say maybe we can just direct them to myself on Twitter or on the Discord, RS official Discord. Those are great places to ask questions.
Well, yeah, like could you get the JMod names from the core archaeology team who are probably good people to ask your questions to? That's a good shout. Yeah,
sure. So for Twitter, it would be @JagXRowley. So you probably got my tag under my name. @JagXOrion, like the star sign, not the star sign, the constellation. And that's probably it for core archaeology questions. We can cover it or direct it where it needs to go. On Discord, we've got an archaeology room dedicated for that, so that's a good place for there. And of course, Reddit, just post away, and we look at that every day. So I'm sure someone will see it.
I'll end on this question because I think it's quite interesting. Are there plans to add some kind of relic presets to the Relics interface, or a way to save your preset for Relics?
No immediate plans. It's something I've been discussing with various players on various platforms. It's kind of currently a bit of a niche issue, but it's a growing one. It's something we were well aware of from pre-release, and it's one of those things we're just going to keep an eye on for now. But we've had lots of suggestions, yeah.
All right. We'll leave it at that because I'm conscious of time as well. Thank you for joining us, Riley. Thank you for sharing the knowledge and sharing the excitement for Orthen and archaeology in general as a skill with us today.